Hey, welcome to the Press Box Chronicles with Jeff Pearlman. Hey, welcome to the Press Box Chronicles with Jeff Pearlman, the show where a cranky middle-aged sports writer, that is me, who has seen it all, takes you behind the scenes and into the stories. I am your host, Jeff Pearlman. And this is going to be the first part of a two-part series about Bo Jackson. And I can't say I'm the world's biggest Bo Jackson expert, but I definitely have a PhD in Bo Jackson. I wrote a book called The Last Folk Hero, all about Bo. And what I wanted to do is use two episodes to talk about his three greatest baseball exploits and really dig into them. And then next episode is three greatest football exploits. So we're going to start today with what I consider one of the absolute definitive plays, not just in the history of Bo Jackson, but maybe in the history of freaky, athletic sports plays. And we're going back to June 5th, 1989, the Kingdome in Seattle, which was a shitty sardine can of a stadium. Nobody wanted to play there. It was dark, it was dank, it sucked, the team was bad. And it's a game between the mediocre Kansas City Royals and the very bad Seattle Mariners. And we're now in the 10th inning of a tie game, and it's 3-3, and the Mariners are at bat in the bottom of the 10th. And Harold Reynolds, their speedy second baseman, a Gold Glove player, really good player, is on first base, and up to the bat comes Scott Bradley, a catcher, kind of utility player out of the University of North Carolina, a slap hitter, a gap hitter, no power, but, makes contact. And on the mound for the Royals is Steve Farr, their kind of closer. And in left field is one Bo Jackson. And if you know anything about Bo Jackson, even if it's 1989, you know anything about Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson won the Heisman Trophy at Auburn. He was the number one pick in the NFL draft. He bypassed the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to play baseball because he hated the Buccaneers and hated their ownership and thought they were a bunch of douchebags. So he goes and plays for the Royals, and he's kind of this athletic phenomenon. And he's been this phenomenon, and people love Bo Jackson. So now it's 1989. It's June 5th. He's in left field. Harold Reynolds is on first base, and he has a 5-step lead off the bag. And Harold Reynolds can run. I'm not saying he's Ricky Henderson, but he has that Vince Coleman speed, that Tim Raines speed. He can run. He steals 60 bases in a season, leads the American League. And he's leading off first. And Steve Farr is on the mound. And Scott Bradley is at the plate. And Bo Jackson is in left field. And on the pitch, Farr, righty reliever, lets go, and Reynolds is running on the pitch, and he has an enormous lead and a great jump. And Scott Bradley hits the ball to left field into the gap. And Reynolds is running fast, like really fast, like as fast as you can. And the ball goes 320 feet, bounces off the wall in left field. And Bo Jackson, standing there, fields the ball. And Reynolds, by the time Bo gets the ball, Reynolds is heading toward third. This game is over. And Bo Jackson gets the ball, and he turns to throw. Bob Boone is the catcher for the Kansas City Royals. He's in his 18th season. He's seen a lot. He's won a World Series. He's played with a bunch of teams. He was with the Angels with the Donnie Moore home run. He knows his shit, and he knows this game is over. And he starts walking away from the plate because he knows Harold Reynolds is going to be safe. And the home plate umpire starts walking away from the plate because this game is over and he's not going to have to call this. And he literally starts walking up the line toward first because the game is over. And Reynolds is charging around third. And the third base coach for the Seattle Mariners is Bob Didier. He's been doing it for a long time. And he's rounding Reynolds around, and he knows he's going to score. This game is over. I interviewed Bob Didier for the book. He's like, there was no chance. This game was over. We won. Hooray. We can go into the clubhouse and drink beers and celebrate a rare win for the Mariners. Well, Bo Jackson gets the ball, and he turns to throw. And he unleashes this throw. And what's interesting is this is the dark ages of television for sports TV. And there's only one camera on this play, taking in the whole play. It's the TV station for the Seattle Mariners. And the guy focuses on Bo and then goes to Harold Reynolds. So there's actually no video of Bo Jackson fielding and throwing. You're looking at Harold Reynolds charge around third base because the camera wants to get Harold Reynolds scoring. Well, Bo Jackson releases this throw. And the first guy to notice, holy shit, is Darnell Coles, who's on deck for the Mariners. And he's standing there and he's assuming Harold Reynolds is gonna score. And he looks up and the ball is coming. And the ball is coming. And the ball is coming. And it's coming straight on a dart all the way 320 feet from left field. And Darnell Coles starts going, slide, slide, slide. And Harold Reynolds in his mind is like, why the fuck do I have to slide? I'm gonna score, this is nothing. Slide, slide, slide. Bob Boone, the catcher, is walking off. Well, now he sees the ball coming, but he wants to fake out Harold Reynolds. So he pretends he's not even looking at the ball. His arms are down. He's like this. Now, the home plate umpire is way away from the play, but he turns his head and he's like, whoa, holy shit, what's going on here? The ball is coming closer and closer. Bob Boone suddenly breaks out of his deke. A deke is an old school word for a fake. Breaks out of his deke, goes to catch the ball. Reynolds is sliding. Bob Boone catches a ball, tags Harold Reynolds. And Harold Reynolds is called out from 45 feet away by the umpire. And he starts screaming. He's like, no, what? No. And Bob Didier, the third base coach, is screaming at the umpire. And the umpire was Larry Young. He's screaming at Larry Young. And on video, you can't see what Bob Didier is saying. And you assume he's arguing the call, but he actually wasn't arguing the call. He was basically screaming, how the fuck can you make that call? You were 45 feet away from the plate. And Larry Young is basically like, you were too. Nobody thought he was going to score, but he's out. The throw is the most amazing baseball throw you'll ever see. And I've seen amazing throws from Ellis Valentine, from Dave Winfield, from Dwight Evans, from Roberto Clemente. It's the greatest single throw you'll ever see. The Royals wind up winning the game 5-3 in 13 innings. And when the game is over, the Seattle Mariners all run into the clubhouse to watch the video replay. And Harold Reynolds is playing it over and over and over. This is a VHS tape. So watch, watch, watch. And he's watching it over and over again. And number one, he realizes, holy shit, I was out. But the thing that blows his mind, is he thought Bo threw it. The ball was cut off by the shortstop, and the shortstop threw it in. That ball traveled 320 feet on a dart to Bob Boone at home plate, and he tagged him out. No one's ever made a throw like that to get a runner at home plate in the history of Major League Baseball. And the crazy thing is, that's not even Bo Jackson's best play. Okay, so here in my cracked in office where the magic happens, AKA I write a lot of shit and put it on a screen and hope it works out. I keep a lot of props. I have pictures behind me. I have different mementos. I have a baseball my late father-in-law got me, signed by the '86 Mets. But maybe my favorite thing is this bat. And this is a signed Bo Jackson baseball bat. And I think I got it on an online charity auction. I think it was $50. It wasn't very expensive. And it's a Bo Jackson bat. And every now and then, when I was watching Bo Jackson highlights, I would actually hold this bat. And I would kind of pretend to be Bo Jackson, little kid in your living room, which is ridiculous because I'm 52 years old. But I did. And to me, my favorite Bo Jackson at the plate moment, and maybe the most beautiful baseball play ever, as far as the aesthetics, as far as the lighting, as far as the setting, July 11th, 1989, the 60th Major League Baseball All-Star Game in Anaheim, California. And Bo Jackson was the top American League vote getter. He had 1,748,696 votes. Will Clark of the San Francisco Giants was the top overall vote getter, but Bo, American League. And at this point, Bo Jackson is simply a phenomenon. He's a football player. He's a baseball player. He's an advertising freak. He's everywhere. And everyone wants to be Bo Jackson. And leading up to the All-Star game, Nike has plans. During the game, we're going to pay a shitload of money to have the brand new Bo Knows ad run during the game. And Bo Knows was this phenomenon. If you're too young to know, Bo Knows was a thing. Just like Air Jordan was a thing. Just like Lil Penny was a thing. Think about sports phenomenons from the past, marketing phenomenons from the past. It could be LeBron, could be Carmelo, whatever modern ones are. Bo Knows was as big as it got. And it basically was Bo Knows football, Bo Knows baseball, Bo Knows basketball, this whole marketing campaign around this guy who could do anything. And leading up to this game, Nike decides We're going to unleash this ad, this national ad to run during the fourth inning of the All-Star game. And we're also going to paper the stadium where the Angels play in Anaheim with Bo Knows ads everywhere. So it's a big sort of marketing risk with the hope that Bo Jackson performs. And on the day before the All-Star game, so July 10th, 1989, Tony La Russa, the manager of the Oakland A's and the manager of the American League All-Star team, meets with Wade Boggs. And Wade Boggs was an all-star third baseman for the Red Sox. And by now, it's pretty customary that Wade Boggs was going to lead off for the American League. And Tony La Russa pulls Wade Boggs aside and says, I was just kind of thinking, what if I lead Bo off? Would you be cool with that? And you hit second? And Boggs is like, yeah, that'd be kind of sick. So Tony La Russa tells Bo Jackson, you're going to lead off. And Bo Jackson is not a leadoff hitter. He strikes out way too much. He's not a contact hitter. He's the last guy you would want in a regular season to be hitting leadoff. But it's just the moment, the All-Star game, Bo Jackson, prime time. And before the game, Wade Boggs goes up to Bo Jackson and he says, we need a handshake, like a special handshake, because you're going to homer in your first at-bat. And Bo Jackson says, Boggs, you're crazy. He's like, no, we need a handshake. We need a handshake. So they come up with this really stupid handshake, and they do it. Okay, it's now July 11th. It's the All-Star game. It's 5:42 p.m. The game begins. And in the booth, everything about this is amazing. In the booth is Vin Scully, the legendary Dodger announcer, and Tom Seaver, the retired pitcher who's a legend with the Mets and a future Hall of Famer. But in the first inning, Vin Scully is joined in the booth by Ronald Reagan, who at this point is 78 years old, former president, former baseball announcer in Iowa, former actor, and Ronald Reagan comes into the booth. And Vin Scully and Ronald Reagan are calling this game. This is when the All-Star game is enormous. You have millions and millions of viewers, and it's a big deal. And actually the day, a few hours earlier, Ronald Reagan walked through the clubhouses of both teams, and he shook Bo Jackson's hand, and he turns to a Secret Service guy, and he goes, that man has a very strong handshake. So the game begins, and it's American League, National League. Dave Stewart of the A's starts for the American League. Top of the first inning, National League scores 2 runs. Well, now we're going to the bottom of the first, and Bo Jackson is leading off. And on the mound from the San Francisco Giants is a pitcher named Rick Russell. And he's 40 years old, and he's kind of built like a guy who's eaten a lot of sandbags. His body is actually kind of like a sandbag. It's like bully and not much definition and kind of burly. And he kind of looks like a tub of, vanilla pudding. And he throws a lot of breaking stuff. He's not a guy who's going to blow by, but he's having this resurgence with the Giants. And Rick Russell's on the mound, and Bo Jackson's at the plate. And it's a perfect Southern California evening. The sky is blue. It's about 70 degrees. The air smells fresh. I live out here. Sometimes it just smells beautiful. And the palm trees and the ocean nearby and everything about it. And Bo Jackson steps in. And Rick Russell starts him off, ball 1. And Bo's in. And Bo Jackson is wearing his white Kansas City Royals jersey with the blue Royals in script across the chest. He has a button open, and he just looks resplendent. He looks like a walking muscle. Bo Jackson did not have an ounce of fat on him. And the uniform is tight, and he just is all muscle. And Rick Russell throws a sinker on his second pitch, and it starts high, it starts to dip. And Bo does his swing, and he just swings all the way through. And the ball starts going. And Ronald Reagan, who's jabbering on, he's in the early stages of early dementia, he just goes, hey. And Vin Scully says, he's remarkable, and look at that one. And the ball is going dead center into this perfect blue sky. The Cincinnati Reds, Eric Davis is playing center field, and the ball goes over his head, over the 404-foot sign, and travels 448 feet away onto the batter's eye. And in the outfield is Paul Cooper, a law student at Brigham Young University. And he runs out, and one guy has the ball at first. He's tackled. The ball gets away from him. This BYU student, Paul Cooper, picks up the ball and holds the ball. And he's on national TV on the batter's eye, holding up the ball as Bo Jackson, just like a stallion, like a Olympic champion, is running around the bases, and the place is just going crazy. And he gets back to the dugout, and Kirby Puckett, the late Minnesota Twins superstar, greets him and says, damn, Bo Jack, what the fuck did you do to that ball? And Wade Boggs gives him the stupid handshake with the shoulder tap and all that stuff. And in New York City, at Mickey Mantle's restaurant, which is located on Central Park South, Phil Knight, the head of Nike, and 4 Nike employees are watching this game and watching this moment. And as Bo Jackson is rounding the bases, they're going crazy. They are screaming and yelling and high-fiving. And everyone in the restaurant, Phil Knight told me later, is like, what the fuck is wrong with these people? Because they didn't know that this was the all-time greatest marketing bonanza ever. And a couple of minutes later, the new Bo Knows ad campaign runs on TV. And that moment, Bo Jackson, All-Star Game, millions of people watching, Ronald Reagan, Vin Scully leading off, is to me one of those beautiful, beautiful moments in the history of my boyhood watching baseball. But I actually think the next play is even better. Whenever I talk about Bo Jackson, I end up getting in these discussions like, what's the greatest thing you've ever seen Bo Jackson do? What's the thing? What's the thing? And I always say, like, there have been other players who hit amazing all-star game home runs. Reggie Jackson in Detroit, Fred Lynn, the Grand Slam in Chicago, a lot of home runs, right? There are people who have made amazing throws. As I said, Ellis Valentine made some amazing throws. Clemente, amazing throws. Dwight Evans, Dave Winfield, amazing, amazing throws. Ruben Mateo, amazing throws. However, there's only one guy in the history of Major League Baseball who literally, Spider-Man-like, climbed up a wall, ran across the wall, ran down the wall. And we're going back to July 11th, 1990. And the Kansas City Royals are visiting the Baltimore Orioles. And this is way before Camden Park. The Orioles played in shitty Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. And it kind of sucked, and it was dreary, and it was just a sucky old stadium in the years leading up to teams finally figuring out, wait, we can have really nice stadiums, and why are we playing in these dumps? And this is a game nobody would want to see. At the time, the Royals are in last place at 36-46, and they're trailing the Oakland A's by 15 games in the West. And the Orioles suck too. They just suck, and nobody cares. And it's one of the worst pitching matchups you could ever imagine going to. Starting for the Kansas City Royals is Pete Filson, who had been a borderline major leaguer with the Minnesota Twins, gets hurt, has a comeback with the Royals. If you walk down the street anywhere in America, nobody would recognize him. And starting for the Orioles is the equally mediocre Bob Milacki. So basically, you're going to watch 2 crappy teams on a rainy night in Baltimore to watch Pete Filson face Bob Milacki. And that's why the announced attendance was about 20,000. There were probably 15,000, 14,000 actually in the stands. So at this point, Bo Jackson is playing center field because he has speed, he has the arm, he has a range, and, give him a shot there. And he's playing center field. Bottom of the 3rd inning, and the Orioles have a guy, an outfielder named Joe Orsulak, who is best remembered because his last name is Orsulak. Otherwise, he was a pretty forgettable major leaguer. Like a good player, but not that memorable. Played for the Pirates, played for the Orioles. And Pete Filson throws Joe Orsulak a very ordinary hanging slider. And Joe Orsulak swings, and he hits the ball into the left center gap. And the ball is coming, it's kind of fading, And Bo Jackson is running from center field. And he's running from center field, and Willie Wilson is in left. And he raises his glove to the sky, and he makes his catch. And the catch is a really good catch. It wouldn't be an all-time great catch, but it was a really good catch. But he's running, and Bo Jackson weighed about 220 pounds. He ran at this point probably a 4.240. Like he was all mass and all speed. And he's running, and he catches a ball, and the wall is not that far away. And he's running, and he basically has his decision. Am I going to slam into this wall and kill myself? Am I going to try pulling up and probably pop a knee or sprain an ankle? Or do I just roll with it? And Bo Jackson, he catches the ball, and Gary Thornton, the ESPN announcer, goes, Bo is there! And he runs to the wall. And at the warning track, he's approaching the warning track. He plants his foot in the dirt. He raises his right knee, and he digs his cleat into the padding. And then he goes, padding, padding, padding. He runs up the wall, literally up the wall. Then he runs across the wall, and then he runs down the wall. And the announcer with Gary Thornton just starts laughing. Like he can't he can't even figure out what he just saw because it's so utterly preposterous. And later on, I was talking to Billy Ripken, who was the Orioles' second baseman, brother of Cal Ripken. And he said, what was really crazy about that play is it wasn't a wall like you think of. It wasn't a wall. Basically, it was a green padding covering a chain link fence. So the ball, I mean, when you climb up the wall is moving with you. It's like bump, 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 bump. And Bo Jackson got so high, the Orioles bullpen was behind the wall. And I interviewed a bunch of guys who were sitting in the Orioles bullpen, and they all thought Bo Jackson was coming over the wall. So they all went back like this because they thought Bo was going to tumble over. And he runs down. Now, it's the most amazing play I've ever seen. Physical play I've ever seen. It's just phenomenal. And the next day, all over Major League Baseball, and I interviewed different guys from different teams, all these players during batting practice are trying to run up walls. And they get like one step up and fall on their ass. So they get two steps up and they fall on their head. And it was just this comical, funny, weird, madcap adventure of trying to climb up walls like Bo Jackson. And interestingly, when I was working on the book, I interviewed a guy who played with Bo in Memphis. Bo Jackson started his baseball career at the Double-A Memphis Chicks when he signed with the Royals in 1986. And they played a game in Charlotte, North Carolina at an old dilapidated stadium named Crockett Park. And he told me that Bo climbed a wall, ran across it, went down, but there were like 500 people there to see it and no TV recording of the game. But he swears Bo Jackson did this. And the guy told me when he saw Bo do it in Baltimore, everyone around him was shocked. And he was basically like, yeah, I've seen that before. And the last weird thing about it is Joe Ursulak, the man who hit the ball, I interviewed him for my book. And he told me he did not realize until 10 years later that he was the one who hit that ball. He'd seen the replay a million times, but when he hit the ball, you're running and you're looking at your coaches. So first he's running at first, he's looking at first, and then he's looking where the shortstop and second baseman are positioned, whether he should turn. He didn't even realize that that play was the ball he hit until years and years later. I just think that's kind of a ludicrous moment, considering he was part of maybe the greatest physical feat in Major League Baseball history. And for my money, the most phenomenal Bo Jackson moment in his very short baseball career. That is a wrap for this episode of Press Box Chronicles with Jeff Pearlman. Please leave a comment below on what stories you'd like to hear more about, or if there's a particular sports figure you'd like me to delve into, I'd be happy to do it. Please make sure you like and subscribe, and follow me on TikTok at Jeff Pearlman Author and on Bluesky at Jeff Pearlman. Thank you so much for diving behind the scenes and digging into the story. We will see you next time on Press Box Chronicles.